Welcome back to episode 12 of the new Millennium Falcons podcast. Last week, your boy was away, but luckily I was able to watch the show, and I know that my two guys right here held it down. It's a great show. We got another one playing for you this week. Fleek, Savion, how we doing, boys?
Hey, man, I am great, okay? I wasn't that great Sunday. It is
Okay.
Wednesday. I'm refreshed. I'm feeling good on the inside, so it's a good day.
Yeah, man, same. You know, Sunday was not what we thought it was going to be. You know, this is not a victory Wednesday. It hurts, but if any consolation, the rest of the NFC South is just as bad as us.
Yeah.
That is very true.
I cannot believe it, bro.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't expect that.
Yeah, I think, what we didn't talk about it much, I think, coming into the season in terms of how we thought other teams would finish or anything like that. So let's talk about that for a quick second. What did you guys anticipate from the rest of the division this year? I'll say I definitely expected Carolina to be where they are. One of Baker Mayfield's proudest haters out there. So this has been a great season for my brand. Really happy about what I'm seeing, but everything else, man, Tom Brady finally looks washed. Tampa Bay looks like they don't know what's going on. The Saints, that has blown up in their face with the whole pushing everything off.
Only somebody could have seen that happen.
Right,
So,
I know.
Sabian, why don't you touch on that a little bit then? Why don't you take it from?
If only somebody could have seen the fact that Jameis Winston just wasn't that guy. That all of this cap restructuring and whatnot was going to be all for naught. If there was only somebody that could have seen that occur.
Did you by chance see the Jameis news today?
Oh, you mean the fact that they Matt Ryan'd him? Yeah, that was crazy, bro.
Cold-blooded shot at Matt.
Because, bro, that's what they did to him, bro. That's what they did to him, bro.
And wait, okay, so now anytime that happens going forward, that's a Matt Ryan? Is that
no.
Okay,
we're not doing that to
bro,
that man.
We're not doing that, bro. He has.
But that is what happened
hurt.
this week. That is what happened this week. You're not wrong.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. You're mean, but you're not wrong. Fleek.
Yeah. Hey, man.
I'm in a bad mood. Okay. I'm in a bad mood.
I will say, Carolina, I definitely expected to suck this year. Trayshawn, me and Baker, we don't see eye to eye at all. So I kind of knew what was going to happen. New Orleans, I did anticipate them taking a step back. Maybe not as far back of a step. Like, they kind of jumped back. I thought they would take a step back. They fell, like, completely off. I mean, even some of their star players aren't having as good of a year as you would think. So that's always good to hear. They suck. So it's like, no matter how bad I feel about Sunday, it's like we still tied for first,
And, I think you bring up a good point there, Fleek, when you talk about kind of expected some regression from the Saints, right? But not quite what we saw, because it's not like the team had a solid – I mean, it's not like this was the first year post Drew Brees or anything like that. No. And it's not like they looked miserable last year either. Savion was telling a lot of people that the Jameis performance was fool's gold, but, nonetheless, it's been really surprising to see, everybody else in the division kind of where they're at. And, if there's a call or two that goes a certain way, you could argue that there would be one team in sole possession and one team with a winning record in the division. But we only deal in reality here, sadly. So
unfortunately,
I'll take a tie for first while we can get it.
100% the wrong timeline.
Yeah. So, this, I think you guys talked about it, but, coming into this Bengals game, we had some injuries.
Oh, yeah.
And then once the Bengals game got going, we decided that we wanted to compile a couple of more. And, we also were thinking, like, what if we just, take every single injury in the secondary and on the defense? What would happen? And we found out
what would happen?
We found out that Joe Burrow would throw for 400 yards in the first 3 quarters of the game. So,
bro, bro, can I just say, like, I know y'all can relate when like it was like second quarter, 3 minutes left, and you just look at the bottom right stats when the
oh,
Bengals have the ball, and it says like Joe Burrow like 20 of 24, 369 yards in the
halftime.
first half. Bro, I'm like, this man throwing for 800 yards today.
I 100%
That's
thought that
exactly
he
what
was
I thought.
setting the record. I was like, he's setting the record today. Like, this is
Yeah.
about to get really bad. Luckily, Zach
Bro.
Taylor's still Zach Taylor, and he saved us from getting a 5 dropped on us. Because,
Yes.
oh my goodness.
Oof,
So,
close.
let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. So,
Okay.
the Bengals defense is solid, but I would
For
still
sure.
say that it's probably an average defense in the league. This isn't a defense that, they're good enough at what they do and they can create pressure, which we saw, and even the illusion of pressure at times. So, this offense, when you saw the injuries into the secondary and you realized kind of what kind of game this was going to turn into, a lot of people, I think, started to wonder, okay, here it comes. We're going to throw the ball for 25 times this game.
Yep.
At least.
At least.
At the very least.
At the very least.
Do you guys want to elaborate on what happened? On what actually happened?
So basically, none of that you just said happened.
Nothing.
Wow.
Like it was the weirdest thing possible to see us, as Aaron Freeman would put it, try to establish the run down 3 scores.
Oh, you mean when it was the fourth quarter with 10 minutes left and we were down 21 points, we were like halfback diving it for 3 the hard way the whole way down the field? Is that what you're talking about?
Which, I mean, look. I understand. I mean, our rush EPA for the year is fantastic, especially on early downs.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I get it.
For
I
sure.
got it. I understand.
For sure.
But we're down 3 scores. We have to find a way to move the ball faster than Troy. I mean, Troy. See, I'm out here getting
It's everywhere.
Man's out of sorts.
Look, Tyler Algier is a good back. He's a good back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
solid rookie.
I don't know if he's busting 20-yard plays to get us down the field on a consistent enough basis to where we should be running the ball down 3 scores.
He's no Kenneth Walker.
I was just about to say, when I watched the explosiveness of Kenneth Walker, but I'm not gonna lie, when CP gets back, like we'll have that flash again, because we've been doing it 3 the hard way, 3 and 4 chunk, every time for the past 3-4 weeks. When CP comes back, I think we'll see those 10+ yard runs, those 15+ yard runs, that he rips off, because he's the most explosive back coming out of the backfield that we have, hitting holes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But in a game without CP, in a game with a beaten down secondary, you only threw the ball 13 times.
Yeah,
they threw it less than they threw it in the 49ers game, in which they had control most of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
And so just looking at the box score of everything, right? First quarter, Cincinnati won 14-0. You're already down 2 touchdowns. You threw the ball 13 times. Cool. Cincinnati also scored 14 in the second quarter, but we had a little flurry at the end of the second quarter. Avery had a nice punt return. You know what I'm saying? We made some plays. 17 points. It's lit. We're like, okay, we're only down 11. It's 28-17. There's a chance. Okay? But you're still down 2 possessions. You threw the ball 13 times. Okay? Third quarter, Cincinnati only scored a touchdown, but you're already down 11, so now you're down 18 points. Cool. You threw the ball 13 times the whole way through. If that were Matt Ryan would have thrown the ball 78 times on Sunday. He would have thrown the ball 70 times, bro.
And Fleek, I want to touch on something that you just brought up because a lot of people were out here angry at this defense. Well, what are you going to do when the defense gives up 35? The defense gave up 7 points in the second half, like you just stated, with people we've never heard. I'm not even going to pretend like I knew who they were starting to trot out there.
You don't
at
know
certain
Cornell
points
Armstrong,
of the game.
sir?
Yeah,
I was ready for Avery Williams to start playing DB, and Arthur Smith apparently was ready too. He said today in a quote that they had Avery ready to go in case that they needed him, and that they even thought about it in the 49ers game. So here's the thing. The defense, after taking some pretty big injuries and needing to make adjustments, gave up 7 points in the second half.
Yeah.
What did the Falcons offense do in the second half? They laid an egg.
Yeah, we scored 0 points the entire second half. And you know what's interesting about this defense? Our defense has been doing that all season. That's the reason we've been able to come back and stay in these games sometimes.
They close.
Like that Bucks game, you lock them out the entire second half. Like the first half can get kind of nasty, get kind of ugly, but we've seen Dean Pease make adjustments and shut out teams completely or limit teams in the second half. And that's when we need our offense to be explosive the most. We have to take advantage of that.
That's the word, explosive. We have absolutely no juice outside of our backfield. We have no juice at all. Ain't that a Boosie song? No juice, none whatsoever.
Gosh,
hey, I'll give one man who should have had his second touchdown of the year, Bird. Love that my man finally got, and that is how you throw that route. That's the third time we've seen them throw that route. This is the first time that it's actually connected because the QB finally figured out, throw to space. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Lead it away from the defender. Yeah, throw to space.
Crazy what happened.
Interesting.
And you can't. We've talked about this a lot. So everybody talks about the O-line, right? And we've heard. But, probably big swings both ways that they've improved it extremely a lot. Well, they haven't gotten better at all. Okay. They've improved extremely in the run game. We all know that. We've seen that. In the passing game, I can tell you for a fact they got better at left guard. Nobody can argue. Yes. So if everything else stayed the same and you got better at one of the positions at the very least, I'll say that Dahlman's a wash. I'm not uncomfortable with that. Okay. So we're starting off immediately. We're better at the left guard position. You can argue maybe Jake Matthews has somewhat lost a step, but he's still pretty sturdy.
He's solid.
And I would say average left tackle. And McGarry's been up and down. He's had games where it looks like, oh man, he's going to get a bag, and then you have games where it's like, that's why you didn't get your rookie extension. Mm-hmm. So kind of all over the place. But here's my thing: when people say, well, the O-line is so bad that's why they're only throwing 13 times for that entire game.
13. That's how many minutes we've been on here.
You cannot. So the reason that I have a big issue with this, and Fleek mentioned it earlier, is I watched one of the least mobile quarterbacks for the past 4 years behind worse offensive lines throw the ball about 40 times a game.
Correct.
I'm not saying that we should be throwing the ball 40 times a game. But I'm telling you, there's no way that this offensive line is worse than any of the ones we've seen the past 4 years and are so bad to the point that you only throw the ball 13 times a game. That logic train makes no sense to say that the O-line is so bad that this is why Arthur Smith last year with Matt Ryan was throwing the damn ball.
Okay.
What are we talking about here?
I'm glad you said it that way, Trayshawn, because I have a point I want to make. I think that people are starting to make excuses as to why we're not throwing the ball to protect Mariota. And the thing is, man, like, people have to remember, and I keep saying this mindset switch happened midway through the Cleveland Browns game. Yep. I'm not saying he was going to come out and throw the ball 30 times a game, but he was throwing the ball substantially more earlier in the season.
Yep.
And then there was the fumbles, there were the interceptions, the miscues. the miscues on snaps, all these things started happening, and Arthur said, "You know what? I can't trust this guy. Why am I doing this? You know what we about to do?
I don't have to.
I don't have to. I have a run game now. I have a line that could haul some ass, block some ass down the field. I got receivers that could block on the boundaries. We're gonna run the piss out of the football." His words, not mine. I just want people to understand. By that logic, is Jalen Mayfield starting on our offensive line right now? Already better than last season. Already.
That's a fact. That's a
and
fact.
Like you said, Matt Ryan threw it about 40 times a game last season, 35, 40 times.
And back up Fleek's point with the numbers, first 3 games, 33 attempts, 26 attempts, 20 in the Seahawks, and then you saw 19 in the Cleveland Browns.
It's just like kept going down.
You can see that switch happen. He did have 25 attempts in the loss to Tampa Bay. But a lot of those also came at the end when they were finally kind of forced to pass and needed to get back in the game.
Right. And now we won't even do that. Now we won't even do that. We won't even throw the ball to get back into the game.
Yeah. And I made a point earlier this week where I talked about, the difference that we're seeing with Marcus versus, let's look at what did he do with Ryan Tannehill, Arthur Smith, because everybody says, well, this is just Arthur Smith's offense. This is just Arthur Smith's offense. I ask you, people that say this, to please bring me the numbers, because I'll bring you the numbers. And with Ryan Tannehill, he was averaging 27 passes in 2019. In 2020, he was averaging 30.06 passes. In 2019, before Marcus Mariota got benched, Marcus Mariota was throwing the ball 28 times a game, and he couldn't cut it, and they had to yank him. And they got a much more efficient passer. And now a lot of people are going to say, well, do we really want – should have Tannehill have been throwing the ball that much? We never said those comments until the playoffs came around.
Right.
That's why so true. We said those comments until the playoffs came around? Because even at that average level of attempts, the Titans were still ranked in 30 or below those 2 seasons, averaging 27 and 30 attempts per game. So Arthur Smith doesn't throw it a lot, but he throws it a heck of a lot more than the 21.4 average throws per game we're doing now, which ranks second to last in the league. So you can't tell me this is this man's philosophy. You can't say, well, with Henry, they ran it a billion times. The numbers don't back up all of these claims. We're seeing Arthur Smith have to take the ball off of his QB's hands and put it into the running backs, because that's just how bad things have gotten right now.
This is a fake offense. It really is. It's a fake offense that we're running. We're running a fake offense that is out of a bunch of different personnels, hoping and praying that we can get some sort of advantage on the outside or up the middle to where we can, to where our running backs can find a crease. Because right now we're not getting it done in the passing game. And we're running pistol full house formations. Freaking, it's weird, dude. Like, we are running a weird offense just to try to manufacture as much as possible because we don't have a quarterback we can trust.
Sixth most rollout plays being called. Rollout plays typically help disguise some of your offensive line issues. We're calling the 6th most. Marcus Mariota has thrown for 78 total yards on 30 rollout plays.
Wow.
78 total yards.
You know what's crazy?
30 rollout plays. So you can't keep using the offensive line and trying to say that they're not doing anything. And I know we've seen some max protect and people are saying, well, there's only 2 or 3 routes being run. I'll tell you this, that is Arthur Smith's offense. If you're expecting Arthur Smith to be out there running 4 wide, 5 wide sets, you're going to be very upset. He runs a lot of 2-man routes, 3-man routes, and he expects his quarterback to then make a play with his legs when he has to. That's the other part we haven't been seeing taken care of as much as we'd like to. Marcus has done a good job of avoiding some sacks. I'll give him credit there. He's done a good job of being elusive in the pocket, but he seems to not know when he should run or when he should just fling it and throw the football. He seems to be second-guessing himself, and this is what Marcus Mariota looked like before he got benched in Tennessee. He didn't trust Marcus Mariota.
speaking of a bench, well, before I get there, Marcus
Oh,
Mariota is averaging passing yards 168.4 passing yards a game. Now, I know we were able to run to success a few weeks, but Sunday was why, and not just me, not just you, Trey, not just you, Savion. Every football fan that watches the NFL now knows that is not going to win you important games. It's just not. We were all on a high after we beat the 49ers in the beautiful red helmets. We handled them. It felt
We need
great.
those back.
But we need those every week. Let's talk about it. But the first quarter of the Bengals game, just seeing how fast they strike and how much energy that offense played with, and then we come on the field and it's just a dud. It's like, okay, well, maybe next time, and then the Bengals come out, it's like lasers. It's like watching a laser light show watching the Bengals offense. And then we come back to our offense, and it's like watching a snail move. It's like,
I'm very glad you said that, Fleet, because I saw something that was really crazy. So I go on RBSDM, the thing with all the analytics. Shout out Ben Baldwin for that, because he's doing his thing with that. You saw the win probability for the Bengals, like as soon as they scored their first touchdown. I mean, it shot up. I mean, it skyrocketed, because we are not a team that's built to play from behind. And once we went 3 and out, and Burrow started just firing on all cylinders, it was a wrap. I mean, I don't think it got up. I don't think it got up past 75%, if I'm not mistaken. And I can't say I even blame the algorithm, because what were we gonna do? What were we gonna do against them when we had no corners? And that's the reason why we're not really talking about the defense as much, by the way. I mean, just like we took advantage of the San Francisco 49ers D-line completely being just eradicated, they did the exact same thing to us. Yeah. Jamar Chase against Cornell Armstrong on the outside should never happen. But somehow in this timeline, in this certain spot, we let it happen. And oh my God, it was crazy. Tyler Boyd was literally just sitting by itself.
8 catches, 155, bro, in a teddy.
He made Richie Grant fall. I mean, it was just
It was pretty tough. It was pretty tough.
They put Richie Grant in such a blender, that man fell to the turf, bro. That thing hurt my heart to see.
Yeah. That thing hurt my heart to see.
It really did, bro. It hurt my heart to see, man.
It's just it's kind of like, right, the next few games that the Falcons have, and we're not going to dive into that, deep right now, but they're not as bad. They're not as bad now, looking at the next 4 or 5, as they felt before the season, maybe. And so these are games that we could possibly win. I'm not saying go 5-0 and go on a run, but we can come out of this with 3 or 4 games, in the win column. So, like, I just feel like, man, what better time to, insert some new energy, man. I'm going to say it every week. Just what a better time. Like, you're 3-4, you stayed barely above water. Your division sucks, thank goodness. Yeah. So you're like, you can contend, but you're obviously not gonna contend the way you're playing now. Like you don't even trust your quarterback enough to even try to F it.
To get you out the game. Yeah.
F it. We're just throwing it wild now because we have to come back. There's nothing else to do. You won't even let your quarterback try.
The Colts, Savion mentioned it earlier. The Colts have as many wins as we do.
Yes.
One of them against Kansas City. Yep. And they have decided, even though there was an injury involved, that they are benching their veteran for the rest of the year. And this is to play Sam Ellinger. And I'm not trying to rip on Sam. Look, man, he's like,
he is a little bit.
He's great for college, right? He's a guy, quarterback where you're like, that's a college quarterback that's great, made for college. He's so much bigger than a lot. of the guys that you see because they're not really at that NFL level yet. He was in the
Mm-hmm.
Big 12, which is that's my conference and everything that I love and I watch. So like, I get it. He's not that guy. He's not
No.
Desmond Ridder. He wasn't
No.
even listed. Here's the thing: Sam was listed as QB3.
Yeah.
They're playing him instead of Nick Foles because I think Foles just doesn't have. I mean, Foles is so old at this point; it's kind of like hilarious that he's still playing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, if a team is willing to do this for Sam Ehlinger of all players, like you have, and a team that again it has just as many wins as we do, and technically less losses because they have a tie. You can't really.
Can I tell you
can't really tell me
exactly
it's
what
not being
I
done
think?
anywhere.
I'm gonna tell you exactly why I think that happened that way. Their owner is way more aggressive, in my opinion,
Yep.
than
100%.
our owner. And
100%.
like he'll come to, I think, is it Jim Irsay? Is that his
Yep.
name?
Irsay. Yep.
He'll come to the staff and say, like that guy will never start for this team again.
Yeah.
Like, it just is what it is. After
Yeah,
that
for
game,
real.
after that
He straight up
Carson
told
Wentz game
Peyton
last
Manning
year,
he was washed before like they traded him. He told
Bro.
Peyton like, "I don't believe in you." To Peyton Manning.
That's insane. I didn't even know that. That's
Like
crazy.
that's
See?
why
Wow.
Peyton left because they were done with him. They were like, "No, you're not gonna." They're like, "We have Andrew Luck. There's no way you're gonna recapture and be what you are." So like it's like you said, he's not the kind of yeah, and it's
and it's like, and don't get me wrong, I don't like when owners are involved in everything like Jerry Jones. I'm not a fan of that necessarily. But the thing
see how
is,
that works.
sometimes the big boss does have to like step in and be like, "Hey, look, I understand, I get it, but it just ain't working, man. Like,
and
something has to change."
And Fleek, I love that you said this because we just saw the boss man step in the summertime, didn't we?
We did.
We just saw him
We
step
did.
in over this exact position.
He put his foot
Yep.
down, didn't he?
He put his foot down, and he put the whole reputation of the Atlanta Falcons and everything on the line. What he did this summer was a much bigger move than coming down and saying, "Hey, like, can we get the rookie in when we're getting blown out? Can we get the rookie in when you obviously have to throw and you're not throwing?" Like, that's a far cry from saying, "I want Deshaun Watson like now, and you're going to do whatever it takes to get him," except pay him $250 million.
Except, exactly.
We didn't have $250 million to pay.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have that.
Sorry.
Insane. So, like, one of the questions I had written down that I actually wanted to ask is the same question I've been asking for weeks. Why isn't Desmond Ridder starting? And when I say that, I don't say it as a joke anymore. I'm like really just asking just to think about it. Maybe just for his protection. That's the only thing I could think of. Because, Mariota's throwing the ball 13 times a game. He's doing nothing as a quarterback that Desmond Ridder couldn't do more of, in my opinion.
So I've thought about this a lot. And here's a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
People like to say, well, they see him every day in practice. They know what they're looking at. Okay, not really. And this isn't preseason. And here's why I say that. In preseason, your QB2, especially in a situation like ours, is getting reps with the ones.
Right.
That does not happen in the regular season. Desmond Ridder is not splitting first-team reps. You would hear the reports if this were true. Desmond Ridder is being used as the scout team QB and getting in his few second-team reps and things like that when he's able to get them in. So every time Arthur is seeing Ridder, he's seeing him with the entire lesser unit of the offense for the most part. So let's get that out of the way, that he's getting to see him at full go with the offense and everything every single week. He's not. And things look different when you're not throwing to Drake London and you are throwing to Frank Darby as your wide receiver one in practice. Like, that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
Hey, man, let's not do Frank Darby.
The second thing is Justin Herbert didn't play until Tyrod Taylor got injured. And that's one of my biggest things when it comes to people, again, with the whole they're seeing them. Sometimes coaches don't know. Sometimes coaches are scared and they think, what if it's too soon? And maybe it's a little bit of self-preservation. Like, I'm not saying that Arthur Smith's the kind of guy that is out here trying to just protect himself. But at the same time, you do want to protect your job as a coach and a GM.
Yeah.
And you do want to wait until until basically it's like, all right, it's out of my hands and there's nothing else I could have done to this point. And you get that kind of handoff. So I'm less of this belief that, oh, they see Ritter in practice and they know he's bad. And, oh, like, he there's not going to be anything that's different if a new QB is changed, which we've looked at the past. We've looked at the past offensive numbers for Arthur Smith's passing game. We know that that doesn't hold up. So at this point, I do think it's just a little bit of stubbornness. And I think it's a little bit of the fact that the team is tied for first place in the division. And if you're a team that's selling on the fact that we're not here to tank and things don't look amazing all around, but we're tied for first, then I think that is pretty much the only thing that's holding on. Because if we were third in this division, or if we were last, and there's a scenario where we could be 3-4 and the Bucks and Saints would be above us and have winning records, and we'd be in third place, I think that they'd be more than comfortable pulling him at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's the division lead and the fact that, like, they know if they secure that, it's a win. And he's not ready to let go of that yet and give it to the rookie, because I think he doesn't want, because the story would then turn out, if we weren't making the playoffs or anything like that, people would put on their hindsight goggles and they would go back and say, well, when the Falcons were 3-4, they were sitting in first place of the NFC South, and then they played Desmond Ritter and they didn't make the playoffs. Desmond Ritter's trash.
Yeah.
Arthur Smith doesn't know how to evaluate.
And so with the narrative like that, I mean, that just, it makes sense for him to keep Ritter on the bench for a reason like that. But it doesn't when you look at the product on the field. When I say there is no explosiveness outside of our backfield, that should come as a travesty, given the fact, shout out to Out of Your Falcon Mind, my boys.
What's up?
Need those live bullets to know. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. We don't know for sure. But when I say that there's only juice coming out of the backfield, that should be a travesty, given the fact that we have spent 2 top 10 picks
on
pass catchers.
Pass catchers. Not running backs, not linemen. Pass catchers.
What? We didn't even do it on. We didn't even spend it on defense. We spent them on people that are supposed to catch the football from quarterbacks. So
also, people who are very good at doing that, by the way.
That was
very
okay,
good.
Right? So that it's not like you didn't just take some blocking tight end. You took the freak. You took the unicorn. You took the guy that was a mismatch nightmare. Like,
you know what I'm saying? This isn't Jelani Woods that you got because he was a freaking tank coming out of college. This
Oklahoma State, shout out Jelani Woods.
My guy. Yeah, he had to put that in. But that's
folks, baby.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't like Eric Ezukanma, who's like, just a big lanky receiver that may be limited in what he can do. No, this is Drake London, who showed what kind of receiver he was in college.
Shut me up.
Yeah.
Shut me up completely. I apologize, Drake.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize.
Drake is a dog, for sure.
And Kyle Pitts, who first of all, we picked Kyle Pitts over Micah Parsons, and so that's got to be talked about. But
there's a list of names that we picked Kyle Pitts over. But
yes, we did.
Yeah.
But the number one, the big one for me is Micah Parsons right now because of what he's doing with Dan Quinn and Dallas right now.
Who?
Mike McCarthy.
I'm sorry, guys. My bad.
Mike McCarthy's team.
Mike
That's on
McCarthy.
me.
Yeah,
that's on me. My bad.
Dan Quinn has Mike McCarthy's throat under his foot. I saw that they just signed Kendall Sheffield. I'm like, Dan is 100% running that show, man.
I saw that, bro. I was like, what?
He's got that man in a headlock. Get ready, because Takk McKinley's coming next.
Bro, that is crazy. Nah, bro. That's insane.
Oh my god.
Bro, that is
Oh my god.
wild.
So how many picks will it take to get Grady Jarrett? Anyway,
Oh, man. Oh.
so I say all that, man, to say you don't spend resources like that unless Arthur and Terry are just not on the same page.
Yeah.
Seems like they are, especially when you look at that draft highlight when they drafted Drake. They were
Oh
both
yeah.
pretty
This
excited.
player fits our
Everyone looked
ethos.
happy,
Yeah.
right?
It's the
Everyone
ethos,
looked
bro.
happy.
It's the ethos.
Mhm.
It's the ethos. It's the ethos. This player fits our ethos. He's strong. He's tough. He's physical. He's fast. He fits the ethos.
Which he
But
does. But what you have to do is you have to get him the ball down the field.
yeah,
And they were at the beginning. That's what's crazy is London's production drastically took a hit. He was
bro.
leading all rookies in yards. He was the highest
Yeah.
ranked Pro Football Focus rookie wide receiver, and then I think he was top 5 like out of all
Bro.
receivers for a little bit there. And then he's not even
Yeah.
getting the ball thrown enough to him to even show up for their rankings anymore. I mean, but let's see if we can't look forward.
Yeah.
I think Fleek talked about this earlier. He said we've got a nice little stretch in the first game up. The old Carolina Panthers, the stepchild of the division, the team that nobody truly has a rivalry with because they're just sad. And I feel like I can talk about Carolina that way because even when you had the best season in your franchise's history, you still couldn't sweep us.
Yeah, your best defensive player got dunked on. No
still
cap.
couldn't do it. So, this is a division game. We're 0-2 in the division, and we're somehow tied for first. So these games are going to start mattering a lot. Carolina's coming off a shocking dub against Tampa Bay.
We don't know.
PJ Walker,
know what to make of it.
PJ Walker had some throws. PJ Walker had like 2 throws in that game where you're just like, holy shit. Like, is he going to go Geno Smith from here on out?
Who knows, bro?
So and they fight, man. Like I know that they're not that great, and I know they got rid of McCaffrey, and I know that they got rid of Robbie Anderson. They won after getting rid of those guys. So, apparently not a ton. That doesn't mean much there. And now they're fighting for their own interim head coach, Steve. I believe it's Wilkes. Is that how it's pronounced, or is it Wilkes?
Yeah.
Steve Wilkes.
That was Wilkes.
Wilkes.
Yeah, I thought it was Wilkes.
So now they're fighting for their interim head coach, Steve Wilkes. This is a team that, if they are good in one area, it's the defensive side of the ball. They've got J.C. Horn. They've got a Brian Burns. They've got a Derek Brown. They do not have scrubs. It's kind of like similar to the Falcons defense. They got like 3 or 4 names, and then some dudes out there that kind of fit what they want to do. Mm-hmm. So, this game, we should win, in my opinion.
We should
also be able to open up the offense finally. Even though I just said that their defense has some names, it's not a great defense. Like, it's not a defense. It's the kind of defense, like I said, like we have, who you lose 1 or 2 guys, someone might throw for 500 on you. So it's one of those things where I would fully expect to see some passing this week. But what are you guys looking at when we go into this game? What do you need? What do you need from this Panthers game?
You know what, Trey? It sucks because I feel like that's what we need. I do feel like we need to open up the offense. I feel like we need to try to stretch the field a bit more. And even if you're not taking deep shots, I just think we need to get the passing game going, the intermediate passing game. If we're bringing Zacchaeus on a drag and letting him catch it and run 7 or 8 more yards or whatever you got to do to get Mariota going early. I think we got to get that junk started fast. I can't bring myself to believe that they'll do it. I just don't believe it. Like, I would hope so, but I can very easily see this game starting off with us running the ball down their throat. Which, if we're gonna win either way, I don't care how it comes. But,
right.
Hopefully you're right though. Hopefully the offense opens up and hopefully Mariota can, sling the ball across the yard a bit more.
So let me tell y'all what the next 6 games are. Right before to get us to the bye. Let me tell you what the next 6 games are. Panthers at home, Chargers here, who Chargers have not looked like the Chargers lately.
Yep.
Joe Lombardi is a war criminal.
Is a war criminal. Absolutely. Yes. But Panthers in Carolina, Bears at home, Commanders in Washington, and Steelers at home. What this game needs to be is a jump starter to what could very well be a stretch of games that get us into the playoffs. Nobody wants to say it, but I will say it. This can very well be a stretch of games that gets us into the playoffs. You win five of these 6 games. Because the NFC sucks. The NFC as a whole sucks. There's the Eagles. I guess there's the Giants now. And I guess there's the Giants now. And I guess the Vikings. But even those 3, not those 3. The Eagles are legit. Those 2 of the last 3, we don't know for sure. So this this conference is wide open outside of the top tier.
Yeah,
I'm thinking 9 games. I'm thinking 9 games gets you into the playoffs.
I was watching Rich Eisen earlier today.
I think 8 could.
8 and 9 could.
Rich Eisen predicted that Tampa Bay would win the division 8 and 9.
8 and 9.
I could. Yeah. You know what?
I think that's all it's gonna take.
Yeah, I can see that because every team is playing really bad, and
either really bad or really close. It's something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and I will say this: like, what better year for the Falcons to finally beat that old man Tom Brady? It has to happen at the end of this season. It has to. But that's when we get there.
Oh, I mean, to beat Tom Brady, to send Tom Brady home in the last game of the season for our first win. I mean, the thing is, it's setting up so beautifully that it's so poetic that it feels like heartbreak, and that's why I don't want to get too much into it.
Yeah.
See, yeah. Brandon Myers is
Brandon, shout out Ravens ATB.
Shout out Ravens ATV.
He's right.
Shout out y'all, man.
8 wins could easily do it.
So that's what I mean. So this needs to be a jump starter. Like Fleek said, if we're gonna go with Mariota this whole time, then we're going to have to jumpstart the offense. We got to get the offense going because this is our best stretch to do it.
And you get to play the Panthers. So, let's look at the Panthers a little bit. We get to play them this game, and then it's the Chargers. So it's like, okay, even if the Chargers do look like the Chargers, who's your bounce back game after that? Carolina. So we get
on Thursday night in front of everybody.
Yeah,
in front of the world.
In front of the world. Yeah, don't forget that.
America so much. I hate national game. The only thing I ever ask from the Falcons when they get on national television is to not embarrass me. You don't even have to win. Just don't do some Falcon shit. And what did they do? First game of the year against the Saints.
Complete Falcon shit.
The most Falcon shit you've ever seen. And I don't get it. So I'm really just.
Yeah,
I just, we'll get to that Thursday night game when we get there. Let's talk about, I want to give this guy some love because, like I said, he's helped further my agenda. How do we feel about playing against PJ Walker? I think this would be the most mobile quarterback that we've played this year. So he adds a little bit of a different element than we've seen. Joe Burrow probably has the best pocket mobility, but when we talk about a guy that can actually threaten you and do some of the things that we wish we would see more from Marcus, this is going to be the first real test from that. And I feel like those, Abdullah Anderson said it best. I hate playing mobile QBs. I hate playing mobile QBs. They're the worst. It's so much more difficult. So how do you guys feel about that matchup? How do we feel about seeing PJ Walker versus Baker Mayfield?
I'll tell you what. I'm scared. Let me tell you why. With a guy that can extend plays, our secondary is already shot to hell. And with a guy that can extend, he's week to week. I don't know if AJ is playing this week, man. If PJ Walker can extend plays, guys are getting open. At least, right?
we got another guy day to day. I'm like, the day to day guy might be really week to week. Like that,
Yeah,
those are not encouraging reports.
Neither of them.
not at all. Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like I'm really nervous because I can see our secondary breaking down because PJ Walker can't get outside of the pocket. I will say, for some reason, I would rather have been playing Baker, but that's just me.
100%.
100%.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
because
with you, man.
here's the thing with Baker. You know Baker's going to do something. You don't know when, you don't know how, but you know Baker's going to keep you in the game somehow. I don't know. I didn't see that with PJ, and I'm not going to put one game on a pedestal like this. I'm not going to do that for him,
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see that like I wanted to with PJ Walker last week. Like, I'm not saying he was lights out, but
PJ's hungry. PJ plays like a man that wasn't the number one pick.
Exactly.
PJ plays like a man that feels like he has to earn everything out there.
And
Baker Mayfield has this attitude that he was wronged, that he should have had this opportunity the whole time, and that he needs to have a team in the NFL. That attitude
terrifying.
That attitude resonates with guys, man. Because I'll tell you what, there's more guys on the roster that have been close to being cut or have been cut than there are number one overall picks.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That is very true. And you know what's crazy? PJ Walker, I don't know if people remember, we played against him for a little bit last year.
We did.
And he threw us 2 or 3 interceptions. About 2 interceptions.
Was that the Michael Walker pick six?
Yeah, they started with Kyle Allen.
No, that was Cam. That was Cam that threw that.
And then the next time we played them, it was like Cam and PJ or something like that.
Yeah, and then he threw up like a duck interception to AJ. And it was that game. So maybe he's kind of fired up to get back at the Falcons, man. Like, he did not look good against us last year. And, like, if he's progressed like this, and you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It is. It
really is.
You just know it's coming.
Yeah. It's just tough, man. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not a little nervous, because, I mean, PJ Walker didn't look bad at all last week. So if they can make plays, it is what it is, man. We're down.
It is what it is. Carolina is Carolina. I like how
that is very true.
Man.
That's very true.
That's true. Carolina's Carolina.
So okay, I've we've talked about PJ Walker, and then Fleek touched on the injuries, that we're kind of experiencing right now. If you're the Falcons, what exactly, what exactly do you think? I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. If you're the Falcons, what exactly do you think would happen if you came out and, let's say, threw the ball 14 times? And squeaked out a W against this team, because it's a little different when you do it against somebody who I think people have higher regard for. Even though the Niners were beat down, a lot of people nobody picked us to win that game.
Yeah.
Nobody picked us to win the Browns game. So when you're facing an opponent who I think is one of the few this year where it's like, that's a W. Like, when you look at it on the schedule from the beginning, I think the Seahawks was another game, but that Seahawks win looks better and better every week Geno Smith plays.
It does.
Yeah. And thank God they weren't playing Kenneth Walker then, because
at the time,
not have been good.
So what do you think? Do you think that there's? Do you? I mean, we'll be happy if there's a win. We want to see the Falcons win. But do you think that maybe there's a little different, maybe a little bit of a different feeling after you have one of those games against a team like that, against a team with an interim head coach that just sold off, one of its star players and another big free agent they signed a couple of years ago?
I think that's the danger too of the league. Like, if you beat up on a Carolina team, it matters, of course, because you're in contention to go to the playoffs. In the grand scheme of things, it's tough because, the Falcons right now, the way that they're playing and looking at that stretch, Savion, like you said, bro, I'm not going to lie. I think this stretch could carry us into the playoffs for real.
Very much could.
But my fear is that we 14 pass it and 200-yard rush it all the way to the playoffs and then get slaughtered like we did against the Bengals against someone who's explosive.
Facts. That's facts. That's facts.
That's my fear.
But you got to think, even getting to the playoffs this year is a dub.
A big win.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big win. Chef's kiss win. They say we're winning 2 games. I will not forget that. They said 2 games. Crazy. We already blew it out the water. Anyways, getting to the playoffs would be awesome. My thing is, I just, in the back of my mind, and how I'll remember this season most likely is the season that I question Marcus Mariota every week. I feel like that's going to be the story of this.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, I said I kind of wanted to see, Desmond Ridder a little bit just to see what we have. And then it became, well, obviously if Mariota's playing great, why would we do that? But he has not been playing great. Had a pretty good game last week, but still only threw the ball 14 times. Like, you're just not going to win consistently. Like, now, I will say, even right now, no matter where we end up, I feel like the Falcons, I feel like we can see the foundation they're building. And I feel like we can see the plan that Arthur Smith has in place. And we see the deficiencies. So I'm happy right now, to be honest with you.
Very much so.
The large scheme of things, yeah. Like, I mean,
this is a good season from what's
past 7 games, tied for first in the NFC South. Like, it's great. Our old boys at Out of Your Falcon Mind give their 2 cents on it, and I that's kind of what I'm thinking from the fan perspective, at least. I think that if we just barely squeak it out or whatever, those Ridder chants are going to start getting deafening, and then maybe that's when you see. And this is kind of why I asked you guys that question specifically about Carolina is you get to play them in 2 weeks after that. So if you go out and you play them once and you have a squeak out win like that, and then you get a second chance at them again, and then who's to say what happens in the Chargers game? We'll talk about that whenever we get to that next week. Yeah. But that's a pretty good opportunity right there to get a test on, okay, well, what would this offense look like against virtually the same opponent? Because not much is going to change between 2 weeks. Especially not on
a short week.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're not going to install nothing. You're not going to install nothing new. It's going to be about the same thing. You're going to see you're going to see almost the same exact, not the same exact team, but the same team, essentially. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if we squeak out a win, I really need them to dog them. Like, I really need them because you're at home. It's a divisional game. The divisional games are worth much more right now because you're playing for the division. You're not going to, I mean, let's be honest. With the way the NFC East is looking right now, you're probably not getting in on a wild card. So you're playing for the division if you really want to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't lose these. You can't lose these.
Oh, you'll be for this Panthers game, Fleek?
Yeah, I'll be at the game, so I will.
I'm telling you, boy, Fleek is on.
We've been repping strong at the games this week. I caught the West Coast, and Fleek's been holding it down at home.
Facts.
Got to, bro. I'm at the Chargers game the week after that too, so we lit right now. But I was gonna say, I will not start the Desmond Ridder chance, but I definitely will join them if things get out of hand. Yeah, because like you just said, Trayshawn, I mean, it's just crazy how the schedule ended up that way, and this is how the situation is. Because that
second Panthers game is when most people, when we talked about this with everybody before the season, that's the game that everybody pointed to, and they said they get a pseudo bye week. They get 10 days off because they'll play a Thursday night game, so it could be a really good opportunity to get the kid in there. But we'll have to see if it really happens or not. But real quick, I know Fleek, you had another question. We're coming up on the hour here, so I just wanted to
time is flying
to get it out there. The trade deadline ends on November 1st. And I know you had a more specific question. Well, so I'll ask kind of a broader one real quick here, and then we can move to yours. Do we see the Falcons making any moves on the offensive side of the ball? I see a lot of people out there. They're like, oh, all these receivers, all the, and I'm like, Chase Claypool is one that a lot of people have thought, things like this. Personally, I'm saying no. Main reason, Bryan Edwards. They already made that trade. That trade happened when they acquired Bryan Edwards, and we've seen how that's gone. That hurts me, man, because I was doing a lot of looking around at the Bryan Edwards film, and he's big body. He fit the ethos, like Fleek was saying earlier. Big, physical. There's film of this man down on the line blocking defensive ends, uplifting them off their feet. He was a fourth quarter specialist, it seemed, for the Raiders. He always showed up in the fourth quarter. And we just don't have enough attempts to go around anymore at this point. I mean, when you throw the ball 15 times a game,
it's gross.
It's Drake London. It's Olamide Zaccheaus getting a lot of targets. And
one shot to Demir Bird,
to Kyle Pitts, and then that's 3 guys right there. So that if they're getting 5 targets a piece, which
you only got 14 to go around. So
this is disgusting. We're starting to look like Baltimore. Jesus Christ! No receivers gonna want to be.
We'd be lucky to look like Baltimore. All right?
No receivers gonna want to be here. That's what I mean.
To have.
And do you know how much it sucks to log into my Twitter on Monday just to see all the fantasy owners being like, when you started Kyle Pitts, but he only has 1 reception.
The fantasy boys need to settle down, man. They're out here saying
that's what I mean, though.
That's what I mean mid-season. Like,
I saw that. I'm like, what? Okay, I'm like, y'all obviously don't know what's going on.
But yeah, to be honest, and I want to make sure Brandon understands that I did not mean that as a slight to Baltimore. I love Baltimore's offense. I do. But it is not receiver friendly, and we already spent 2 huge assets on receiver, so it has to be at least somewhat receiver friendly.
That's fair. But do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, I was interested in if y'all thought that the Falcons would maybe possibly make a move for a defensive back, making a trade for a defensive back, and the reason I say that is because we talked about AJ being week to week, which we really don't know how long that can end up being. Casey Hayward is out with a pretty serious injury. We don't know exactly how long, but it's 4 games at the least. Probably more than that. The way they were reporting things, it sounds like it may be more than that. So at least for the time being, you may be rolling out D. Alford and Darren Hall as your top 2 cornerbacks, or maybe Mike Ford, depending on how you want to align it.
D. Alford can play because he's hurt too.
Yeah, and he has a nagging injury too. So I'm just interested if y'all thought that we might make a play for somebody. I know Bryce Hall is on the market reportedly. I know that Greedy Williams is reportedly on the market. I saw a report saying that. And, do y'all think we might throw a late round pick to somebody just to try to get some help in here? Or do y'all think we'll continue with the practice squad elevations and moving it that way?
I think you said it. I think Bryce Hall is really the only guy that makes sense. I was doing a lot of stuff with the Browns guys before we played them, and it sounded like at that point, because I was earlier in the season, Greedy Williams was having an AJ Terrell first 2 games type season, and it looks like it's continued. And considering how much I think he's under a pretty little hefty contract there. I have to double check that. I'm not sure what his contract is. It just doesn't seem like it's a fit. It's just one of those moves where, it seems like it could hurt the cap. The team put a little risky in the cap and everything like that. Bryce makes sense on a rookie deal. Still got a couple. I think he'd have 1 or 2 years left on that deal. Former 2nd round pick. Good man corner. So seems like a guy that could find a place here. I just don't know. It's and maybe if they can get something like, Robert Quinn just went for like a 4th or something like that, and he's having a down year. I would think that somebody like Bryce Hall could get, maybe you could get away with a 6th or a conditional 6th.
Just throw it out there.
Turn into a 5th or something like that. I don't know. Maybe you send one of those Deion Jones picks back that you just picked up.
Right.
And Joe Douglas is like he's willing to make things happen too.
And he'll trade to us, or I feel like they're comfortable trading with anybody, out of the division. So
yeah. So I'm gonna keep it real with you. We already made we already made a move in my mind. We made a move for Bo Peep Keys. If you guys don't, know, that's the practice squad guy that we just got. Look, man, I don't want to make any moves whatsoever. I I don't. I want us to, and I think Terry's going to do this anyway. I think he's going to build this the old-fashioned way. He wants to build it, with his guys, and I guess we have overachieved this year. So I mean, I don't know if you want to bring in a guy that may or may not fit the ethos. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I feel that.
You know what I'm saying? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And also, as you just made me think about it, even though I brought that point up due to injury this season, we will have to figure out the CB2 spot, solidify that going forward as well. So that could be solidified in the draft.
Or you make that Bryce Hall trade in the offseason. If nobody gets him, then you know that he's out there, and probably be cheaper in the offseason as well.
Exactly.
So no rush.
There's really no rush. Yeah, there's no rush with this because we're building a foundation here, and so I don't think we do anything.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I think those are some good questions to close with, and I think we got into it talking about the Panthers. I know we talked about kind of how we feel about this team's offense, and it's starting to get to the point to where I think, like we've said, we've overachieved, but we've also seen flashes of what this offense could be if it was able to be run consistently. So let's look at what we think let's do our score predictions. Let's do this week. What do we think is happening? Falcons are at home. Carolina's coming to town. Savion, what's going down?
So I'm going to predict what I need to happen right now. I need this to be a slaughter. I need Mercedes-Benz to look like a slaughterhouse. So I'm gonna go ahead.
Whole lot of red in there.
Whole lot of red, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and go 31-7. That's what I need.
31-7.
I need them to be utterly destroyed.
I'm gonna stand right there with you. I'm gonna say 35-14.
The reason
almost the Bengals game. 35-14. I think you have to. You gotta. I don't know, man. It just like you said, I need it, and it feels like this is the game where it has to happen. And I don't think it's going to be easy because J.C. Horn is going to give Drake London problems. So Mike Mariota's going to have to look off that first read, which could make things difficult.
But here's my thing: who's guarding Kyle Pitts?
That nobody.
Exactly.
Can you name a Panthers linebacker these days?
I mean. They do have Jeremy Chin. I like Jeremy Chin.
Yeah, Chin's nice.
Yeah, I did too.
But is he locking up Kyle Pitts though? Yeah. So, but here's why I say this: you play this team again in 2 weeks. You need them to feel that for 2 weeks. So you really got to put it on them. You know what I'm saying? You really got to put it on them.
This team hope before that second game. Imagine if you barely
in Charlotte.
Yeah. I wasn't laughing because the prediction is so crazy. It's just here I was in my mind thinking I'm about to predict like a blowout, and I was only predicting like an 8-point game. Like I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna look at me crazy. But nah, I think we win like 25 or 24-16. That's how I see it. I think we score 24.
Realistic, if we're being honest.
I think 24-16. To me, that's like a win where, we probably controlled the game most of the game, and maybe they knocked in a few late field goals or something. You know what I'm saying? Winner's remorse.
And I wish I hadn't just checked it, but y'all want to know Kyle Pitts' numbers versus the Panthers last year?
Nah, bro.
Not really.
Do it, bro.
Okay.
Don't even do it, bro. We good.
I'll let all of you people watching look that up.
Hey, go ahead and put that on. Go ahead and put it on your Twitter if you want to. Behind the pit.
Our boy Hunter was able to get in.
I like that, Hunter. I like that energy, bro.
24-17.
Behind
I'll take the dub.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't like. We got to sneak out with Pitts at the end.
Yeah, Hunter.
Jeremy Chin is going to cover Pitts.
But that's what I'm
saying right now.
And then our boy Brandon hopping in here, giving the Falcons a nod.
Big
Man, I'm nervous.
dogs.
Somebody tell us we're gonna lose. Hold on.
Nobody's gonna tell us we're gonna lose,
Where are
bro.
the trolls? Somebody.
Nobody's
please.
gonna tell us we're gonna lose. I will tell you one thing: don't bet on this game. That is one thing that the dude from Football Outsiders finally figured that out. He put up like his weekly roundtable, and on the bottom there was an entire thing that said, "Never bet on the Falcons." It was hilarious to
We were
read.
6-0 against the spread. What's he talking about?
We
Bro,
were, yeah.
That man was losing money. That's why. He's trying to push everybody off so he can get those odds.
Yes.
Facts,
Yeah,
bro.
man. We'll see.
Well,
We'll see.
Oh, by the way, do you think I need air sample baggies at this game, or are we good off of that now?
It worked. It worked last time. So just
it did.
Whatever you wore, wear that again.
Got you. Heard.
Guys, I'm getting so sad looking at these pit stats from last year.
Okay, can I just say something
games with
really
8
quickly?
targets, 9 targets, 10 targets, 8 targets with a worse offensive line. It's crazy they were able to throw the ball.
Wasn't it beautiful?
Less mobile quarterback too. What?
Wow. Hey,
it was
bro.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful.
It was the season. It was you know. Oh, well, last thing I gotta say about this is it's crazy to me how last year everybody could see, like, all right, yeah, the passing game looks good, but this isn't his full offense because the running game's not there yet. And now we have the complete opposite situation this season, but people will not admit that the passing game just isn't there and that it's not the fault of the quarterback. But we're all cool saying that it was Matt Ryan's fault that the run game was shit last year. Like, I don't understand how this is. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But
guys, the odds on this game, it's a pick 'em. They have us.
Is it really?
It's a pick 'em.
That Tampa Bay game scared a lot of people. So you know what? I might actually have to put some down on the Falcons because
I'm not gonna lie, that hurt my heart, bro. That hurt my heart to see. I thought we'd at least get some. I mean, at least favored by some points.
It's being scary, man. Vegas, at home,
at home,
really
bro.
Wrong.
On the road, they got them +3.
That's what I'm saying, man. Vegas knows something.
Jeez.
Yeah, bro. We gotta go, bro. That hurt my heart, bro.
All right, boys. Well, as always, thank you for joining us. If you were here, you can find us on Twitter at NMFalconsATB, the new Millennium Falcons podcast. And don't forget to follow us at the Falcons_ATB account as well, where you can check out new articles for me, Hunter, and Fleek, Savion. We're always putting in work, giving you Falcons content every week. We like to start our show a little bit late. We're working on that. We're trying to get,
we are so sorry.
Fashionably
late. That's right. So it's it was a good show, man. I was glad. I missed y'all. Like, it was not fun. I felt like
man.
Squidward meme watching you guys play outside, and I'm just like watching from my phone, like damn.
Wish I could be there.
Yeah, wish I could. Y'all killed it.
Good to have you back, bro. This
good to have
really
you back,
show,
bro.
Man.
For real.
Oh man. Well, fellas, any parting words?
Yeah, let's get this W, bro.
That's right.
Hey, I'm gonna need a slaughterhouse, bro. I'm gonna need you to bring the axe. I'm gonna need you to bring that. No Joe Budden. No Joe Budden.
Yeah,
but
absolutely not a
absolutely no Joe Budden. But yes.
I'm gonna have to agree with Savion. Need that